Hey, and welcome back to Review. Today we're going to be going over Ghost Towns, a Werewolf the Wild West and Wraith the Oblivion crossover product. Primarily for Werewolf the Wild West, though. This book is interesting in the fact that it covers how you would do ghost towns for Werewolf, as obviously the name implies. And it goes over how to create them, and also has a couple samples which are very interesting to read. So we'll get underway. We start off with a story, the Shale Valley story. We'll just skip along that. It's a fairly interesting read. It's just I don't really feel like doing it right now. How to use this book, useful references, what is a ghost town, and it's a breakdown of how everything works. Them building a better ghost town. Now, this chapter in-depthly covers how you would build a ghost town of your own. You going over first what it was before it became a ghost town. Oh, it's got no terminology, just so you know. It also goes in, what they begin to think, when did destruction begin to happen? Then what actually happened? Was it drought, plague, mines, trains, violence, something? Mines is in, not mines like landmines. Mines is in, it was a mining village and the mine went dry type thing. Goes into how to determine your gauntlet / shroud. Major players, heretics, hierarchy, renegades. That's really going into Wraith stuff. So, sorry, I missed the headline for it. But yeah, it goes into what faction of Wraith might be in there. Honestly, you might want to bypass that part if you're not familiar with Wraith, especially if your players aren't, you can just kind of wing it and just kind of like zip on by that part and just be like, well, we'll just go with Wraiths as general ghosts. We don't need factions and shroud and character sheets. It's unnecessary. I personally prefer not to have to buy a bajillion books just to supplement for one game. Then we get notable ghost towns. We get Baton Rouge. We get its history, people of the town, and all the information. They went into a lot of detail for these story ideas for Wraith and for playing. If you're playing Werewolf the Wild West, or if you're playing Wraith the Oblivion, it's got stuff that you might be doing there. A place called Hatter's Well in, I believe, Arizona. It's an 1852 settlement. All of these have their own unique stories to them, so I found it very interesting. I'm not going to go into detail over them because there are a good bit of, I want to say 5 or 6, and they're all really in depth. We get Malvado Canyon in I do not see where Malvado Canyon is. It's smack on the busiest trade route between Cheyenne and Salt Lake City, right at the foothills of the Rockies. And then we get information, histories, posses. Then we get a special introduction for supernatural influence on Malvado Canyon, where the Wraiths and the Garu. Let me get a pretty cool picture of Garu fighting skeleton. We get, moving on to the next one, we get information for that posse that they mentioned in Townfolk. We get Paradise, Montana. Which also actually contains a special worm spirit called the Sower of Fear, for anyone that wants to know it. It was one of those ones that I really liked. I like the story of that one. That's one of the ones I considered actually running for before that game ended. And we get Lawrence, Kansas, which isn't that the place that they had Supernatural, where they were from? I can't remember. no matter. I wish there was a better table of contents so I could flip to the next settlement. Alright. Then we get to storytelling. And how you would do this. You know, relation, weirdness, allies across realms. You know, what spirit allies would your group possibly have? Possibly their spirit totem. How to run varmints. Well, that's what they call the raids. Vengeful Dead. Interactions between Garrow and Wraiths, and Garrow and Wraiths in the world. And then Piercing the Shroud. It's got a couple new rights for you know, how you would do such things like the Silverfang get Enter the Dark Umbra as a tribal right, which do obviously what you think it will do. Philodox gets something called Wrongful Dead. I mean, honestly, this book doesn't have a lot of table use. Whereas the other ones were like really, really critical. Well, not critical, but on your table, they would have a lot of use, you know, for antagonists, gifts, you know, what have you. This one wasn't. This one is more one that you can read. I mean, honestly, if you can find a PDF for it cheaper than you could buy a physical copy, you might want to go with the PDF because, you know, it's just, it doesn't have that, you know, this needs to be at the table feel to it. For a little bit it does, but not really a ton. I mean, I liked it, but I feel that it's not nearly as useful as some of the other products that they released for White Wolf line. However, for now, that does bring it into the Werewolf the Wild West reviews as the one product I do not have, I cannot find anywhere. So, until next time, have a good one.